So when we bought our homestead 10 years ago, we were on a super tight budget and only one income. But we still somehow figured out how to get most of our projects done and buy a few things like tractors and milk cows in the process. And in today's video, I'm going to share some of the things we did that made that possible. For more stories of life on our Wyoming homestead and lots of homesteading tutorials and tricks, be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our weekly videos. So when we started homesteading 10 years ago and we bought our property, things were really tight budget-wise. Not only had we just taken out a mortgage for 67 acres in this really tumble-down old farmhouse, we had to put in fences and fix the outbuildings and fix the house and pretty much fix everything on the property. And at that time, I had quit my job. I was a brand new stay-at-home mom with a baby, our firstborn. My husband Christian was working in town and he had a good job, but it wasn't a super high paying one. And so we were all about budgeting and being frugal and making every dollar stretch as much as possible. So things for us now are a lot different than they were at the beginning, and we're not on as tight of a budget. We have a lot more financial freedom just because of the businesses that we've created. I have the blog, which is an online business for us. We also have a doTERRA team. And sometimes when I talk about these things online, people are like, no, you can't talk about that. I don't want to hear about it. But here's the deal, guys. I'm not going to go into great detail on those today. That's a video for another day. But that's our story. We literally went from rags to almost riches just because of starting these businesses. So I won't go into all the nitty-gritty on that right now, but I just want you to know that while our financial situation is different now, at the beginning we were like the typical American newlywed couple, and we had to make every dollar count. And we did. Even before our businesses became profitable, we were able to accomplish a lot of our homesteading goals. And that's what I want to share with you in today's video. So the first thing we did back at the beginning of our homestead journey was stay out of debt. And I know we hear this all the time these days. We were big followers of Dave Ramsey then, way before he was really even a household name. And we're still big followers of Dave Ramsey now. And we have followed his principles to a T. And I have to say that doing that set us up for so much success later on. But here's the deal, guys. It was not fun at the time. It was really hard. And we had to make a lot of sacrifices, and it just really wasn't that fun when our friends were buying new cars and buying all sorts of toys, and we were driving a $2,000 Ford Taurus with a dent in the side. And what staying debt-free did is when we had our money budgeted out, after we paid all our bills, which were less because we didn't have a ton of payments on things, we were able to take that little bit of leftover money and put it into purchasing the things we needed for the homestead. And there was a lot of reassurance knowing that our paycheck each month wasn't gone before we even got it with bills and expenses. And having that little bit of wiggle room not only gave us peace of mind so we could sleep at night, but it did enable us to purchase slowly the things we needed to start our homestead. Now, if this isn't your story and you have debt right now, don't feel like this doesn't apply to you, because it still can. There are tons and tons of stories of people who've paid off massive amounts of debt and are still able to experience this level of financial freedom. I highly recommend getting a copy of Dave Ramsey's book or going through one of his courses, because that information is truly life-changing. And once you have your money in order, everything else really flows. So even though our finances have shifted a lot and things aren't as tight as they used to be, we still follow those same principles. We don't put things on credit cards, we don't have car payments, and we are very careful to not spend more than we make. So one of the other things we did back at the beginning of our journey that we still do now is we buy everything used. We have yet to purchase a car, a truck, or any sort of vehicle on a loan. We always pay cash. Now, as you can imagine, sometimes that means we drive older vehicles, we drive things with a little bit of rust, especially back at the beginning. This kind of plays into that debt-free idea. We drove a $2,000 Ford Taurus forever. Our first horse trailer that we still have and still use was a couple $1,000 bucks, and it had some rust and some dings, and hey, it works great. But Buying things used prevents you from getting all of that depreciation as soon as you drive it off the lot. And it enabled us to get into things that we needed without taking out a loan or spending more than we could afford. So we did this with our tractors, our trailers, and even things like clothing for the kids or baby items. But yard sailing, thrift stores, buying used gave us a chance to get a lot of the tools that we needed and a lot of the equipment that we needed for much, much cheaper. The third principle that we followed then and now is that we are obsessive do-it-yourselfers, kind of to the point of insanity. And that allowed us to build what we needed and create what we needed on a budget without having to spend a lot of money hiring someone to do it. Now, a caveat here, there is a time and place to hire a professional, and we do that at times, right? So if you don't know anything about electricity, it's probably not a good idea to check out a book from the library and try to wire your house yourself. But there are things you can do yourself that really can save you money, and that was definitely the case for us. Christian's a pretty handy guy, and so he used his skills that he had to help fence and build and paint and roof and all of that stuff. And then the skills he didn't have, well, we've learned them over the years. And that's allowed us to build our infrastructure and our buildings and our fences and our coops and all of that stuff without having to go hire someone to do it for us. Now, if you don't have those skills, or you don't have the ability to do things yourself or build things yourself, then maybe my fourth tip will give you some more ideas. So the fourth thing that we did then and now is barter. We were big on bartering and still are. And perhaps if you don't have certain skills, you could potentially barter with someone else who does to help you get some of your homestead projects done in a cost-effective way. But over the years, Christian and I have traded goats for cows. We've traded some meat for vegetables. Christian has traded his skills for things like hay for our animals. And that was really, really crucial, especially at the beginning of our journey, since we were able to get resources that we needed without having money come out of pocket. And I'm betting if you are plugged into any sort of homesteaders in your community, or you have neighbors that have gardens or animals, you guys can get really, really creative in figuring out how you can trade or barter for the skills or resources you might need. And then the last thing we did as one-income homesteaders back in the day was we got really, really creative with our smaller income streams. So we did some crazy stuff. I cleaned bathrooms in the local town's business building for a while. Christian took all sorts of little jobs helping people build things or wire things for a couple extra bucks. And we even cast bullets in our shop for a while, which was super, super glamorous. He would work all day. We would put the baby to bed, and then we'd go out in the dark, cold shop and sort bullets and cast bullets and box bullets for hours just so we could have a little extra money in our homestead savings account. But that little bit of sacrifice and commitment was what enabled us to be able to purchase our used tractor and some of our tools and our equipment that helped us get our homestead off the ground. And that's really what it takes, you guys. Some creativity, some ingenuity, some willingness to sacrifice. But I really think that anyone can homestead, even on a budget, even on one income, as long as you're willing to go slowly, not overextend yourself, and live within your means. So now it's your turn. What are some ways you make homesteading cost-effective for you and your family? Share your thoughts in the comments below.